Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Lions Den podcast, episode 61. Forgettable start because we're trying to forget and overcome Jornada Uno as we come back as being campeones, and obviously a tough game that we kind of expected versus Tigres. But we have lots to talk about in regards to that game. I kind of stopped watching after the second goal. I know Louis been, heated up. He wants to get some things off his chest. Carl's going to give us everything we need to know about what Nacho Ambriz said post-conference. So we have lots to talk about in regards to kind of how this first jornada went to Leon and how, if this kind of defines what we're going to, expect or what's going to change. We have new signings, debuts. We have so much to talk about. Welcome to another Monday Night Football. Carlos, Louis, guys, a tough loss. How are we feeling?
Upset.
Yeah, what a way to fall back down to earth. I mean, we knew just the sheer fact that the new season was starting. Okay, we're back to square one, back to reality. But this was a face plant back down to earth. This was. I know we expected a tough game, but not one like this for many reasons.
Yeah, it's upsetting. It's upsetting we had to come out like this, but I mean, I'm okay with it. I guess I understand it. I mean, it brings us, back down to earth and lets us know that we're not the super powerful Leon that we kind of think we are. We're not going to beat every team, and if we expect that, that bar is way too high, especially back-to-back seasons. But I think that, it's not the greatest start ever, but moving forward, I think we'll see a team like the championship team we saw last season.
Yeah, I would have been okay with a win. I mean, sorry, with a loss. I would have been okay with a loss. I didn't predict a win. I very notably always predict a win, but I didn't predict a win this time. But hay formas, the way they to me, they didn't come out with the slightest inclination of even looking for a result from minute one. They came out entregando el resultado, and that's what I don't like about it. That's what's so upsetting to me about it. Like, they were like, we're not going to win this. We're not going to get any kind of result out of this. Let's just not even try. That's basically what that lineup. That's what that lineup said to me. And unacceptable. No. It's fine. It's fine that we get this reminder, this jolt of reality, I guess, this reality check. I mean, nobody's expecting for this just to be another easy path to the title. Nobody's expecting that. But you got to put up some kind of fight. I mean, you have to go out there looking for the result. They just didn't do that, and it was painful to watch.
Yeah, it was super painful to watch, and a lot of these guys, man, I really don't think they belong on the team or anywhere near first division. I mean, you can easily name like 3 or 4 guys from the starting lineup that were just dead. They didn't even show up. Why were they even in the starting lineup? I saw a couple of guys mention Nico Sosa and Godinez, and oh man, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I'm just.
It's hard to defend them after, I guess.
Especially Godinez. I don't want to be a broken record ripping into him, but if that guy's starting, expect a loss. There's no excuse for him to be out there. Nico Sosa, I'm willing to defend him a little more when the rest of the lineup is there and he's kind of fitting in as a false nine. I think he can do some things for you. Obviously, he hasn't done that scoring wise, but I think he can do some things for you. Godinez, where was he even playing? Was he on the wing? I mean, was he playing as a false nine? Like, where was he supposed to be playing? You don't even really know, and it's like, it's bad enough that even if he's playing as a true number 9, which is what I think, if he's anything, that's what he is. If he's not going to play there, what in heaven's name is he doing out there?
Yeah.
That's what this is like. They went out to get these 90 minutes over with. That's it. Like, not to search for any sort of result. And it showed. I'm sorry, that's unacceptable to me. Unacceptable.
I think how the game started and how we predicted last week, Louis, I really thought you were gonna get get the draw right because of just look at the lineup and kind of how, como dices, se entregó el equipo desde el principio, and it just was really just, I don't know, I just was not in favor of it. Everybody watching him, Periscope and YouTube, let us know what your thoughts were about Leon as we keep continuing to kind of break the game down. Carlos, before we get into kind of just the game, do you want to give us the club team news prior to this match?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So let's see. During the offseason, we signed 3 players, obviously Davila and Oso Gonzalez, who both started on Saturday night. But the third one was actually presented today. He arrived in León today, Colombato. He's a very promising 23-year-old Argentine. Heard lots of good things about him and looking forward to hopefully seeing him in jornada, dos or tres maybe?
I think he's waiting for his what's called for them to register him, right? So it could be
his international transfer card or whatever they call that.
Yeah. And then we had 3 absences, guys, huge absences in my opinion. Angel Mena, Jairo Moreno, and Fernando Navarro. I don't know if they would have gotten any playing time anyways, considering the lineup that we had out there. But, I mean, coming off the bench, I think they would have provided a stronger jolt of energy. Yeah, what do you guys think? Big absences, or were they not even going to play?
Yeah, it doesn't matter if they were out or not. There were better ways to cover their absences than what was decided upon. Far better ways. Yes, some of the big guns came in the second half to try to rescue the game, but that's not how we're not built. We're not built to have to chase the game. We've never been. Yeah, I know we had a lot of comeback wins over the course of this championship season, but
yeah, Tigres are no Querétaro.
But never getting. Yeah, you have to take into account the opponent. They were, credit to Tigres. They were very clearly motivated. They really wanted to show off that new dupla up front with eternal thorn in our side, Carlos Gonzalez, and they did so. Credit to them. They did what they had to do, and they're coming off a title and short rest too. They did what they had to do, and we just simply didn't. The lineup was the first thing. There were better ways to cover those absences. Yeah, those are key absences always, but there were better ways to cover them. And by the time they got something close to a real lineup in there, they're chasing the game, and you don't want to be chasing the game at the Volcan, a place we don't win anyway, even when we take the lead, in the first few minutes, which has happened. It's just that's not a recipe for success in these kind of circumstances. I don't know what they were thinking. I really don't.
He seemed lost. I mean, it was just frustrating watching that. I think the absence, the players who didn't travel was kind of understandable. I feel like, Jairo playing in the final, he wasn't going to risk him in the first, jornada. It was just not even going to be worth it. We all know that Navarro had his surgery after campeonato, so even though he's back, not 100%, I guess. And I guess you're right, we did have the big guns coming into the second half. I just feel like it was just not even a game for a huge comeback. I don't think it was going to be. It's too early. Why risk? You know what I mean? And with Davila and also, I mean, I think there still needs to be time for them to be able to mesh. You know what I mean? And off the bat,
they get a pass. I'm not going to say anything bad about them. They get a pass. They got thrown into the fire, and looked generally pretty decent, I would say. I mean, you kind of got an idea what they can bring.
I think the best field player was probably
you guys, like two possible or a couple possible lineups given the players available. Once we knew those 3 guys were going to be gone. And we're like, yeah, there's a respectable. There's ways to salvage this, to still make this a game, to go out there and have a puncher's chance. Obviously, you don't want to go many jornadas with those guys out. That could spell disaster. But for one jornada, you can cover them, and they just didn't even try. And I don't understand why. Here's my thing with this: they basically had what would be like a regular international break plus a little bit more time off between the title and this. During a FIFA break, during the regular season, 2 weeks off, you don't give the guys a pass to like need another 2 or 3 weeks to learn how to play soccer again when they get back. So why should we give them that now? It's no different. I see it as absolutely no different. They had the same time off as if a little more than what would have been a FIFA break. They should have still been in rhythm. These are high performance athletes. First division soccer players are some of the most high performance athletes in the world, and they're acting like, give us a break. It was only 3 weeks. We got to come back and relearn how to play the game again. And I'm like, what? I mean, if they're not ready to play a Jornada Uno at the time they had off, then the job was not done prior to the game, like in the weeks prior to the game. Like there's plenty of blame to go around before the game even happened, not just the match day squad. Like, you had a FIFA break. If you have a FIFA break in the regular season, we say, oh, cool, they had 2 weeks off. They should come back fresh, Whereas now we're saying they had 3 weeks off, and they're and now we're supposed to accept that they're completely out of shape. They have to completely relearn the game, and it's going to take some time. I don't buy it. I don't accept it.
To be fair, there was a point in the season, in this past season, where we had an extended FIFA break, and Nacho Ambriz petitioned the front office to get some friendlies in there just to keep the guys in rhythm. These guys had nothing. They didn't even have a preseason coming into the regular season. And then obviously Nacho Ambriz after the game said that his trainer was the one that said, don't start these guys, they're not ready to go. And like I said before, he's not one to make excuses. There's been many games where he could have easily made excuses and said, you know what, the referees messed us over, some guys were tired, whatever. But he never makes excuses. This one time he actually does give an excuse, and he says, you know what, my trainer said that some of these guys aren't ready to go. We didn't have a preseason. We don't really want to throw these guys into the fire with no rhythm. And so I guess he just risked whatever he had, some of the guys with the fresher legs.
But I just don't understand. I don't understand why. I can understand a psychological and emotional hangover after, that takes an emotional and psychological toll finishing off, 2 years worth of a project that had to this point been frustrated, and you finally get it. And then to have to play again in a relatively short time, competitive matches, I imagine I can understand the psychological toll. I just don't understand. I don't understand why. I don't understand the extremes of this particular circumstance. Why after these particular 3 weeks, as opposed to after 2 weeks of a regular FIFA break during in the middle of the season, why this time they're basically like having to relearn how to ride a bike. I'm like, I don't buy it. I don't completely buy it.
If there was ever a time to just shuffle things up and throw something brand new at us, I would rather have the first game rather than somewhere in the middle of the end. Because we've criticized Ambriz for doing that in previous seasons, where he just comes out and throws a brand new starting 11 right in the middle of the season, and we're like, what is this guy doing? We're about to go into Liguilla. So I guess there is kind of a positive here. I'd much rather see this happening in Jornada, 1 than like the 15th or 16th. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't a great game. I mean, strategically, I think he could have done better. He probably could have, because if you look at some of the guys that we lost, like Pedro Aquino, he started the game for America and he went, I think, all 90. So
I thought he came on as a sub. I thought he came on as a sub.
20 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, he had good stats in 20 minutes, but
yeah.
I mean,
who else was out there? We had Tecillo and Mosquera, Cota. We had a couple of guys who were starters in Liguilla last season. So
yeah, we had a few, but what was it? Maybe 30%, and then the rest were new faces. Guys who I think are eventually going to be a big part of our plans, but then just some guys who should never ever be playing. Just ever.
You want to throw some names out there?
And then guys like Nikhil Rangel Buron, who, if the rest of the lineup around them is a normal starting lineup, they can kind of fit in and not estorbar too much. Mm-hmm. but they shouldn't be tasked with what they were tasked with.
Yeah.
Okay,
in
so
this
hear
one.
me out. Hear me
Yeah.
out on this, okay? Hear me out on this, because there's been a lot of, Nico Sosa and Godinez, right? Nico Sosa, according to SofaScore, had better numbers than Chuy Godinez. Nico Sosa, according to SofaScore, was the worst player on the field, but guess who was the best player on the field?
Davila.
No, one of Louis' dearest favorites.
Boron.
Kiburon?
No, Osby. Osby had the
okay.
best numbers of the night. Okay,
I mean, he did have that block.
he played a total of 82 minutes. Out of 4 ground duels, he won 4 of them, 4 out of 4. Out of 2 aerial duels, he got 2 out of 2. 34 accurate passes, equaling to 91.9%. Out of 1 dribble attempt, 1 successful. I mean, he had the best numbers of the night. To me,
Yeah,
Nico Sosa, I was really disappointed. I was really disappointed.
Me too.
I was really disappointed, Louis. Like, I just was like, okay, look, I've been giving him the benefit of the doubt.
No, for sure.
He's been, kind of a consistent on and off. So this time, I feel like it was his time. Maybe he didn't have as much as the support, but come on. Like,
yeah,
I'm just devastated.
There's 2 ways you see that lineup, and there's 2 ways to react. The first is like, WTF? What are you doing? Like, are you nuts? And then you can take a step back and you're like, okay, there's some guys here who are getting a real opportunity to show us something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that applies for anybody more than it did for Nick Killer. So in that sense, yeah, I completely agree with you. Some guys, especially him, missed a real golden opportunity to show that they belong.
Yeah, and on the contrary, just to stick to that thought, there's some guys in that lineup who you go, okay, these guys have had starting 11 positions before. They have experience. It's not like they're coming in brand new. They should be able to hold the fort down. People like Tecillo, Mosquera, Cota, even Osvi. But the one guy that I thought, okay, this guy's going to hold it down, and he had a horrible game, was Jefecito.
Yeah.
He had a very upsetting game as well. It was just all over the place. It was just bad. Like, you could turn and turn. It was like, who's doing the best out of everybody on the field?
He's a far cry from what he was when we were saying, back in the days when we were saying we don't even really need Aquino because they're one and the same. Like, they bring the exact same quality and the exact same skill set, and those days are just long gone. I don't know what the deal with him is. I don't know if he's ever going to get back to that.
You're right, Carlos. I feel like you would depend on Jefecito. You know what I mean? No Montes, Aquino's gone. Besides having Mosquera and Tecillo as backup, you expect him to at least, like you said, hold the mid. And it was just like, era agua, la media era agua. It was like, what is going on?
Yeah, but also looked way much better than Jefecito, I think. I think Jose mentioned it last podcast, like he's going to take over that starting role eventually.
Yeah, and maybe with Colombato coming in, although I don't necessarily see Colombato as a natural replacement for Aquino or Jefecito. Really, he's not a recuperador. He's more creative. Mm-hmm. I see him more as a guy who can spell Montes for periods of time rather than one of the true contenciones, one of the pivots farther back. But that remains to be seen. But yeah, Jefecito, man, I don't know. We're adamant. Like, Aquino's gone, fine. We have, assuming we're getting the player in Jefecito that we got used to seeing for all that time back when he was really good. But if he can't get back to that level, maybe we're not as deep in the defensive midfield as we like to think we are.
Well, I mean, look, I always like to defend Jefecito. I don't like to go full Louis on him. Mm-hmm. I don't like to go Louis on him. But I mean, I guess one excuse that I can see coming out of this is the fact that he's playing with people who he has no chemistry with. I mean, he's playing he's playing with Buron. A lot of these guys who he normally doesn't get to play with on the starting 11. He's normally playing either next to Aquino or next to Montes, two very technically gifted, soccer players. But this time he's playing with brand new players, people we just signed, and he has a horrible performance. So that's maybe the only excuse I can let him slide under the table.
Would you
I don't
think
know, man.
maybe like he would have taken leadership? Like
That's
he's
the
most,
thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing. He's got to seize that moment. He can't curl up into a ball and just hope for the best. He's got to seize that moment.
Yeah.
Aquino left. Like the pathway is cleared for him to be the guy. I mean, he's got to embrace that. Maybe he still will, but he certainly didn't in this one. And he's got to be willing. No matter who he's playing with, he's got to be that guy. Because they basically took away Aquino and now he is the guy. I know also might have something to say about that, but also is unproven and also is not acoplado. And so like Jefecito's the guy, and he didn't act like the guy.
Also did have better numbers than Jefecito. So 36 accurate passes equals to 90% out of 2 long balls. He had 2, so 2 out of 2. Out of 4 ground duels, he got 4 out of 4. I mean, not bad just for his first game, and I think he kind of looked better than Jefecito. It's just that it was honestly, it was just a really tough match to watch. Even with the subs coming in, it was just not enough. Like I was like, they're not going to come in and rescue this and turn this around. Like.
No, although the game did look better. It looked a little bit closer to what we would have expected to see from the first minute. Once guys like Campbell and Luis Montes came on, I think things looked a little bit different. But that's not how we're not built to. As I already mentioned, we're not built to have those guys come in and chase the game. When Tigres has already been out there and imposing their will for 60 plus minutes. That's not a recipe for success.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I hope those guys are able to start. I think somebody said he expects by jornada 3 to have everyone fully match fit. But we need a bounce back against Pachuca at home. We can't give up points to Pachuca.
Yeah. Because after that we faced Monterrey, so we just can't. After Monterrey came out, fire, we just need to at least have that game against Pachuca, kind of get back into the rhythm. I need Yairo Moreno back. I mean, I think we've all been dying to just have him back on the field.
To be fair, Monterrey came out fire against Atlas, so let's not.
That's another story because
let's not give him too much credit.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's kind of those. Atlas is just the team that you just don't know what to say, especially with that start, and from a lot of Santos to Atlas. I think it's just the easy way just to move players, and and then Furches out, and then let's go get Caraglio, and it's just I don't know. But that's another story we can talk about.
Yeah, we don't need to spend too much time on that. But I'll just say, Atlas should be grateful that their descenso will only cost a hefty fine and not an actual descenso. Yeah.
Okay, I'll go to, and I think let's go through some individual team performances. So we've mentioned some here and there, especially from the debuts, Victor Davila and Osto, which I think we're gonna give them the benefit of the doubt in hopes that they kind of mesh well with the team. And I think they have the potential to do so. I guess we'll have to see what Santi Colombato can bring and how he will be used. But let's do individual team performance for Avion Ramirez. 1 to 10.
So before we start, I'm just going to put this out there. I'm not going to give anyone a higher rating than 8 today because I don't think anybody deserves it.
Sounds fair.
If anyone even gets close to it, it's Cota. But Avión, I don't know. ¿Cómo lo viste, Luis?
As I was saying to Kari before we started, I ended up having to watch this on my phone screen, my tiny phone screen. So they all kind of looked like the same little ants. I couldn't really tell who was who. It was hard to tell who was who. I just noticed that we kept getting killed in the defensive midfield in the recuperación. So that's why I'm quick to judge Jefecito. But Avion, I mean, I don't remember anything on in his corner that like specifically stuck out to me as awful. I'm with you, Carlos. I don't even want to give like 8 is the new 10, you know,
For this game.
for this episode. You know, 8 is the new 10. So like I'm hesitant to. So if 10 is top and if we normally say let's say 8.5 for somebody's really good, then you know like I'm hesitant to give anybody really more anything than like a 6.5 or a 7.
Yeah.
You know.
Same.
I'll give him a 7 just because I don't remember anything specifically that he did to affect the outcome.
Yeah, I don't remember any crazy plays or any. I don't know. He didn't look like the same Avion from last season. And somebody pointed out on Twitter that he looked a little overweight to begin the match. So
I mentioned this in the chat though. I don't know. Like in 3 weeks, I don't know how anybody could come looking a high performance athlete come back looking noticeably heavier than they did. Maybe it's possible, but
a lot of carbs.
As many. Yeah, well,
I mean,
a lot of carbs over there.
I guess they train so hard and they're used to burning so many calories that if they stop for just a little bit and go on a carbo binge in Cancun or wherever, I guess maybe it's possible. But I also think like he's just got that look where depending on the angle that you're looking at him, he just looks a little chunky. He's one of those.
He has a chubby face, like
yeah.
You know, that's just how he is, the perfil.
Yeah.
But yeah. I don't know. Maybe the kits get tighter. You know, I mean, if you look at the Chivas players, like you know, everybody's always criticizing trophies, and I feel like sometimes he does look light or something, or Alexis Vega, but that's just how tight those kits are. Like,
yeah, the kits, especially this season's, are noticeably snugger than the ones they had last season. I don't know why, but they definitely are. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's possible. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe his metabolism isn't as quick acting as somebody like William Tecillo, for example. He's always going to be skinny. Like that dude's always going to be skinny. That's just the way he is. That's his build. Avion, you know, maybe he went to like an all-inclusive resort in Riviera Maya, and maybe he went a little too hard on the buffet. You know, it's possible. It's possible.
Yeah.
But I think it's more that I don't know. He's just got that kind of, depending on how you're looking at him and depending on the screenshot and the angle of the camera, he just looks a little chunky. So I'm not going to read too much into that.
Okay.
6.5, yo. 6.5.
6.5. Yeah. Okay. Now let's go with Chuy Godinez, and I think we've expressed it in multiple podcasts, kind of how we feel about him in regards to not really fitting in this team. Others can debate, well, he hasn't been given, you know, a lot of minutes, but we can debate, yes, he has. He hasn't done much of those, you know, minutes, etc. You know, not to disrespect a player like him, but I mean, based off of this performance, I mean, I think it might be a little bit rough just off the here. You know, throw you in a game versus Tigres to start and see what we get. But do we see Nacho Ambriz giving him more time? Because I read TUDN, Romo Vázquez saying that Nacho le tiene mucha confianza, is a player that he, you know, is going to push. Do we think, and are we going to see more of Chuy Godinez this season?
Well, he's not doing him any favors by putting him in these situations. When was the last time he started a game? It was against LAFC, right? In the Vuelta. Like, also another terrible moment to throw the guy in. Like, go get him, champ. You know, like another terrible moment. Like he picks pretty bad moments to give him his full confidence. Like he's not ready for it. You got to work if you have confidence in the guy, but you got to work him up to these stages. You know, I think there's an argument to be made that he hasn't been utilized in a way that would best lend itself to his success. But he's just shown us so very little, in my opinion, when he has been out there. And what was he even supposed to be doing? Was he the false nine? Was he supposed to be a winger? Which he very clearly
isn't. Winger out there. It was really confusing me.
He's not a winger. I mean, what point have we ever seen him or heard of him?
He's a natural striker.
he's a if he's anything, which I'm not sure he is, but if he's anything, he's a natural striker.
Yeah.
And
so like Louis said, I don't even know what position he was playing. If he does get to play again, I think he should get the opportunity to play as a striker, just to show what he has, and just hopefully he gets to play with some of the starters, the usual starters, so that he can get some goals in and get his confidence up. But based on that performance, I don't think he did any well. He did, surprisingly, I think he did better than Nico Sosa. Yeah, by a lot. But I don't think it's enough to give him more than like a 5. I mean, it was pretty bad.
Okay, 5. Hey, Louis.
Yeah, I'll give him a 5.5. Just that extra half. That extra half is just because I don't think anybody's has ever really put him in the best possible situation to succeed, and this was no exception. This was out of position, just throwing him into the fire against a motivated Tigres team in the Volcan where we never win. That's the other thing. Like, I know we never win there. We've won.
When was the last time we won there? When Elias got the winning goal?
2017. In the Clausura 2017 on a counter, Elias Hernandez on the counter, 1-0.
No Boselli.
No, there were we had no strikers in that game. That was one of the greatest. It's one of my top 5 regular season away games.
That was such a good game
that I've ever been to. Like they said they went in with no strikers, and especially because it was Elias, because he played for Tigres and didn't do anything there, and they always boo him, they hate him, and he scored on them, and yeah, that was the first time they'd won there in over 32 years, and still the only win they've had since then. It's just a place we don't win.
Yeah, we will though. We will.
Yeah.
I guess one of my thoughts that I think we've addressed like so long ago, the forward situation. I think we think back to, Boselli's time and how it was difficult for, Leon to play with 2 strikers. If anything, I think Leon is characterized to play with a single striker up top, and that's where Boselli came from. And it was always this thing with, 2 strikers, or 1. I mean, think about who we have this season. We have a possibility of Victor Davila. We have a possibility of Nico Sosa, Godinez, Joel Campo. Who else could be up there? I think I'm missing. Gliotti. Yeah. So
I'd prefer to see Ivan Hernandez over Godinez. I mean, as long as you're gonna go with an unknown quantity.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you can't really call Godinez an unknown quantity, but like an uncertain quantity for sure. As long as you're gonna go with an uncertain quantity, give the top goal scorer ever in the U20s a chance.
Yeah.
That would have at least been added some intrigue. Like, you see Godinez, floated out there, and it's like,
I guess what would be our expectation for, like, obviously we know that Leon doesn't depend on a striker, and sometimes in crucial opportunities we kind of need a striker to, sacar la cara from, games to games, depending on what situation we're put in. But I think, are we expecting another season where Gigliotti gets the majority of the starts? Are we seeing maybe a shift in Joel Campo? Are we seeing, a single striker and, Davila playing behind, or Nico Sosa playing behind, or Nico Sosa with someone? I think, what are we, I guess, wanting, or what should we be expecting? I guess my question.
Yeah, I don't know. Campbell, we were asking for a long time to see what he could do as a number 9, which is not really what he had been used as. And then they gave him a couple chances to do it, and he didn't look particularly good. So I don't know. I think he's better on the wings, or kind of in a freer role, but a little bit farther back, doing some creating.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's ultimately more his role. I do think he should have started this game. I don't know. When he came in, he looked pretty okay. I thought, again, the match was I think it was already lost by the time the heavy hitters came in, but Yeah, I don't think Campbell's the answer. I would at one point I would have thought Campbell was the answer at striker. I don't necessarily think that anymore. I think Gigliotti's the guy. They didn't get anybody to really compete with him for that spot. If they had, it'd be a different conversation, but they didn't. So I think it's gonna be him.
Yeah, I think it's just Gigliotti at this point because look at his competition. You have Nico Sosa, who's like way far out of the picture, and then you have Godinez, who's maybe showing a little improvement, but I don't think he's good enough to be a starter yet. But yeah, I think Gigliotti is going to be the main starter again. Whether or not he'll score like the way he was scoring in the finals, I don't know. I don't see it happening. Just because we picked up more speed on the wings and we picked up, Davila, and that's normally where our goals come from anyway, from our wingers and creativity. It's almost never from our striker. So, but I do see him in there.
Okay.
Yeah, and we were all expecting, our third refuerzo to be a striker as opposed to another contención, and it didn't happen. So we're just they have Gigliotti, who, I can never say an ill word about that man ever again in my life after what he did in the final. Showing up in the big moment, being a big time player that he was before coming to Liga MX and hadn't ever shown until coming to León, really. But no, I think I'm happy with him. Obviously, he didn't start this game. If he had, who knows what we might have seen from him. But I'm happy with him up there. It'd be nice, though, if they had brought in like another option, like an experienced number 9 to kind of fight for that position, so he doesn't get complacent.
Yeah, but we weren't even looking for a striker though, and that's
a confusing thing. They were looking for wingers, which makes no sense to me.
Yeah,
we have all these guys
who
these guys who can play on the wing. Yeah.
And I think moreover, like, Navarrito scores, Mena scores, Meneses scores, but I feel like sometimes at crucial moments we kind of need someone to push up there. Could Gigliotti have a back-to-back season? Maybe, who knows? I think we characterize him as coming, in a moments where we needed, when we needed someone to show up, and he did. So I think it's just going to be interesting how this season works out with the addition of also in Davila. Especially Davila, just more the creative side, like Louis was saying, and you pair that up with, Montes, and he, Davila more of a free role. I feel like in a way, kind of like an Ismael Sosa. I don't know. I'm just very interested to see how this season, how the adaptation of these players kind of throws, the rest of the squad. I don't know. I'm trying to just move away from this Tigres game because I think it was, in Carlos' words, it was just trash minutes. It literally was just trash minutes.
Yeah, like I said, they were looking to go out there and play their obligatory 90 minutes and get out.
Yeah, literally. Let's just get this done and move on to the next one. Like literally, that's kind of how
it was. They prayed for a tie, basically. They prayed for that.
Yeah, I guess what they needed to do was play for a win and settle for a draw, not play for a draw and settle for a loss. Like that, because that's definitely they were playing for a 0-0, and once they gave up that first one, it was like, let's not even bother.
Yeah.
So moving along to the rest of the jornada, as you can see on the screen below, kind of the other marcadores. Of course, Pachuca versus Juárez pending, so we can't really talk too much about our next rival would be Pachuca. Starting off the jornada 1, Puebla versus Chivas 1-1. Very interesting game. Xolos versus Pumas. I didn't expect much, and it was a 0-0. Mazatlan versus Necaxa. Mazatlan kind of scraping a win. Atlas Rayados, like we stated, Atlas was just perdido. Tigres losing versus León, of course. San Luis losing to America. Toluca versus Querétaro, really, really good game if you did not watch that game. And Santos winning versus Cruz Azul 1-0. Cruz Azul losing, so starting off their week as bad as ours.
on the left foot.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. you know,
It's still Jornada Uno. Like,
Yeah.
let's give it a few games before we start to say, oh, these guys are gonna, it's their year.
And of course, the highest scoring and back and forth game of the jornada was Mazatlan Necaxa, which everybody was thinking it was going to be the stinker. If ever you're going to pick a stinker out of the bunch, it'll be that one. But,
I kind of just watched it just because I had nothing else to do, and it turned out to be a really good game.
Yeah.
And the only game that had a crowd.
Right. Yeah. Which I'm hoping, praying. Beyond all words, we are traveling to Mazatlan this season, but it's not till like the second to last jornada. So I'm really, really hoping they are able to maintain their policy of allowing a crowd in that stadium through the rest of the season, so that at least maybe there's a small, slim chance of seeing some live Club Leon this season. Really, really hoping for that.
Yeah.
And hoping you guys we can organize our first ever Lions Den podcast retreat at the
retreat. Like we're gonna camp outside, document the whole thing.
At Senor Frogs in Mazatlan. Yeah,
let's do it.
Or delfines with chains and shiny shirts.
Yeah.
Also, the Sunday game, guys, if anybody watched the Toluca versus Querétaro, very interesting. Querétaro scoring first and Toluca coming with a comeback. Sambuesa.
37. What a player.
Yeah, he's something else. Okay.
I mean, when your game depends basically entirely on craftiness, like you can play until you're 50, like that Japanese guy who's like 55,
yes,
and
he's like 7.
And he just signed a new First Division J1 League contract, which is like beyond words incredible.
Can we just keep like wishing? I mean, can we wish that Chapo Montes makes it like that? Like,
I don't know if it's in the cards, but that would be awesome.
That'd be awesome.
So I guess as we can't, talk too much about Pachuca as their game is pending. I guess in regards to what are we expecting in regards to a lineup? I think throughout we've said that a pretty more consistent, concrete lineup would be against Monterrey and Jornada 3. What are we expecting in this in this week 2 versus Pachuca? Are we seeing more of a close 11? Or do you think he's going to test out? Is he going to throw a crazy lineup like he did? Do we see Davila and also starting again? How many of the, players are going to come back? Is Yairo going to start? You know what I mean? Like, I guess, what are we expecting?
I wouldn't be surprised to see Oso and Davila start again, but I'm also expecting a few more of the regulars to complement them this time. Yeah. I mean, it's okay. It's okay to go into this first. It's not okay. It's understandable to go in this first round and say we're not expecting to get any points out of this. Okay, but you can't give yourself that luxury the following week. You can't give yourself that luxury really ever again. To be quite honest with you, we don't want to be a repechaje team. Like the points in the regular season matter. I think that was a big deal to finish in the top 4 under the current system. It doesn't mean it's quite as much when it's just the top 8 are in. But in this season where, you gotta pretty much everybody, all of our direct competition except for maybe Cruz Azul got better, and we need those points. You can't just be throwing away these points. So I hope they're going with the attitude. I know somebody specifically said he doesn't expect the squad to be at Tldp until Jornada 3. But, this is at home. It's against Pachuca. You never want, you want anything to be easy for Pachuca. Like, they got to go out at least, I don't know, for the jugular, but they need to go out with the idea we need points out of this match. We need a result.
Yeah.
We gave ourselves a freebie. No more freebies. We need points here.
Yeah, I think the lineup is going to be a mix of what we saw against Tigres and a couple more starters, the regular starters inserted into that starting lineup. Don't think we'll see an actual starting 11, the base players until the second half. I think he might start off by throwing in, I don't know, like maybe like a Nico Sosa, Gilron, and Osvi, and then bring in the big guns in the second half just to get them ready, get them going, and have them ready for Jornada 3 against Monterrey. Yeah, I mean that's what I think as far as the lineup.
I guess we expect Meneses to start?
I think so. Since he got some minutes last game, I think he's going to start. I also expect Montes to start, and maybe
Are we
maybe
expecting Idol to start or not yet? It would be too soon.
no, I don't. I think the guys who are missing, they're not going to start till maybe the
Yeah, that was what I was going to say. I wouldn't expect any of the three who missed.
Maybe
I wouldn't
they'll
expect
come
any
out.
of the three who missed to start. Yeah, but I want to see more starters. I mean, we cannot. They can't put out that same lineup again. Like that's not a
Yeah,
lineup.
we were
That's
undefeated at home. We were undefeated at home last season. We can't. I mean, we already have a loss under our belt. We have to come out and dominate, or just win. You don't have to dominate, but just win.
Yeah, it can be an ugly 1-0 like it was against them. I mean, it's going to be a grind. Pachuca is known for their defense, and they maintain that. And yeah, it's going to be tough to score on them. But but we need that result at home.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch their game right after the podcast just to see what they look like.
Yeah, me too. It's on in 5 minutes. I'm gonna double dip with that game and the Blazers.
We're close to coming to the end of the show. If you guys watched this last week, we're gonna start the Lions and Podcast Quinela, giving our predictions and keeping score and see who comes out on top. Of course, Javier and Jose are missing tonight, but we will get them going. Let's see, what can I do? No.
Oh no.
Oh. I thought I rehearsed this. How do I do this? Yeah, I'm not too sure. Javier already gave his prediction.
Just
let's
post it on
see.
the Twitter page.
Yeah, we'll post it on Twitter page, the results from last week. Jose had a 1-0 Leon. Carlos, you also had a 1-0 Leon. I had a 2-1 Leon. Louis had a 1-1 draw, and Javier had a 3-1 Leon. We'll have to figure the scoring.
No one got it.
No. We got to figure out the scoring piece of it. But what are our predictions for this week? Javier already said 2-2. Louis, let's go with you.
I'll go with a 1-0 win. I think Pachuca's they're gonna defend well. They're probably gonna park the bus a bit. They're gonna wait for a counter. They're gonna try to get their new star signing Mauro Quiroga involved in some way. But I think it's gonna be a grind. I think it's gonna be real close. I think we're gonna eke one out. I don't know who's gonna score, and it's probably gonna come in some unexpected way, like the last time it did against Pachuca when Yairo kind of scored out of nowhere to give us that win. I expect something like that, but I think we got to get this win at home against Pachuca. Because even if we are al tope and everybody's healthy and ready and primed in week 3, that's a visit to Monterrey, to the Estadio BBVA, where we also never win. So we need these points. We need these points.
You're saying what are you saying?
1-0.
1-0. Okay, Carlos. Yeah, let's do that.
I said I didn't know who was going to score, but if you're twisting my arm, I'll say Meneses.
Okay. I'm gonna go with a 2-1 win for Leon. I think that a lot of these guys realized what a mess it was at El Volcan, and they're gonna realize we're at home. We can't lose at home. We haven't lost at home in quite a while. So, and obviously we need the points, like Louis continues to point out. We need these points, and we have a very tough opponent for week 3. So we got to get these points. We got to get this win, and we can't lose at home. So I'm going for a 2-1 win. Goals by Gigliotti. He's going to score 1, and let's give 1 to Avion.
Okay, interesting. We'll get Jose's scoreboard later. I'm going with a 2-0. I'm just hoping we keep a we try and keep a clean sheet from now on. I'm just really interested to see what kind of squad Ambris comes out and how it's going to differ from the third week versus Monterrey. I guess we'll have to jump on and see how Pachuca does tonight to kind of see what we're expecting and kind of what Ambris is thinking. So I'm going to put the 2-0. I'm going to say, let's go with Davila scoring.
Dude, I was gonna change
be,
mine. I was gonna say, dude, I want to change my scoring. I want Davila to score one because last time we had a player from Pachuca, it was Sosa, Ismael Sosa, and he scored
against them. So do you want to switch out for the Gigliotti goal or the Avion goal?
Avion, for the Avion.
Okay, Davila.
Yeah. So Davila's probably gonna score against them.
Javier says 2-2 Pachuca. Davila and Meneses are going to score. And I guess we'll get Jose's later. So I will figure out this whole how to put this graphic. But this is a graphic from last week, week 1. We all had our scoreboards and ni uno Latino. So we'll see who has luck this week. Also, guys, if you have noticed throughout the show, Carlos and I are wearing the Champions shirts. Cotton shirts if you guys are interested in buying them. They're really comfy. I wear black all the time, so it kind of just goes with my whole thing. I think Carlos does too, so it kind of just matches our wardrobe. And yeah, here is the QR code. You can go ahead, open your camera, and shop now. The t-shirts, hoodies, sweatshirts. If you have kiddos, we go for Leon. Instead of buying them a jersey, maybe get them a cotton t-shirt. Those are available. All funds go towards the pod to keep it up and running as we do broadcasts from different platforms. It goes all there. Also, if you missed last week, Club Leon EN presented a 2021 schedule to keep as your screensaver. So you keep an eye on who Leon faces the week after and the week after. We have there 2 different versions. The Campeonato with Nacho and Montes, Epic, and then also the Cota on the other one. Guys, anything else before we go?
Well,
yeah, I mean,
let's go watch this game.
Yeah, it was an awful loss, which for that excuses were made for. Let us never speak of it again.
Yeah, it's one of those games you just want to forget. Like the title. What's the title of the episode?
Forgettable start.
Yeah, forgettable start. Let's just forget about it. Maybe by like the 17th jornada, we'll look back at this and be like, hey, remember when we were all like mad at that first game and we ended up in first place?
We'll probably have that moment. I need to document this moment in case we need this clip again. 53. Well, guys, that is it. Thank you, everybody who watched us via Periscope and YouTube. Let us know what you think of Leon in week 1. Let us know your thoughts. Follow us on all social media. If you want to know everything about Club Leon EN, make sure to follow them on Twitter. Keep you posted with everything regarding to Club Leon news, and also keep you posted during the game in case you can't watch the game. But yeah, follow us on all social medias. We'll keep you posted in regards to what happens with Leon versus Pachuca on another Monday night football. So next week we will be podcasting on a Wednesday since Leon plays on a Monday. So just keep that in mind. We'll blow it up so you guys will remember. Thank you, everybody. And guys, we're taking off.
Let's go.